You were underneath, but everyone in your darkest hour. We pushed it aside, heard no faith above. Your only longing was to escape this unjustified bullshit lullaby. Sign your soul to sleep. Lost rewrite history instead of this tragedy. Lost rewrite history instead of this tragedy.
Wait, let's change just today. Wait, got to go with no. Wait, let's change just today. Wait, got to go with no.
Some more reasons why to live or to die. Checked, weigh it down the unknown. You couldn't escape the beast. You long inside the beast. The world just couldn't give you. This is justified. Perfect lullaby. Song your soul to sleep. Let's rewrite history instead of this tragedy. Let's rewrite history instead of this tragedy.
Wait, let's change just today. Wait, got to go with no. Wait, let's change just today. Wait, got to go with no. You on the other side. You from
It's a struggle to find the truth, to find the meaning in my so-called life. Who is to blame without me? Hold me down, pick me up. I'm so confused what I'm supposed to do. Blinded from the truth, make my mind so I am blind. There's never a moment that I can find the meaning in my time. You and me, but I am free, free from the shackle you have tied. Rather wish I had died. Day will come and the night will go. All I ask is to save you're in my mind, because I know I'm
It takes a special kind of man to look at this through the eyes of the Lamb, to follow orders from the ones who shame you. Yet I know I can. You lose control, you lose sight of the dam. There is no other way to describe this feeling. Overwhelming. Too many nights I slept alone. I'm counting blessings that aren't even there. Will the light ever shine through the darkness? Will I be prepared? I wanna die every time I close my eyes. I cannot feel what it's like to be alive.
Without you, how can I feel? What am I supposed to do? Will you even look back in time without me? As I stumble upon the truth, I find the meaning in my so-called life. Who is to blame without me? There's a bad feeling outside my window. Let it in. It wants to sin. There's a gray spot of rain in the doorway. Let it go. It wants to know how yesterday could be so cruel. How I could sail on a ship of fools. I don't think I can, so I'm telling the wolves again. Save me from myself. Save me from this world. I don't think I can, so I'm telling the wolves again. Please take me instead. Please take me again. There's an empty void upon my shoulders. Lift away again today. There's resentment carried by the demons. The price was paid. Regrets don't fade. How this morning exists so true. Fable the scars untold who knew. I don't think I can, so I'm telling the wolves again. Save me from myself. Save me from this world. I don't think I can, so I'm telling the wolves again. Please take me instead. Please take me again. Please
nothing but lies. Since the quit fought the cheap beats, apologize to what I'm trained. Tie him up, break his rib, burn his fucking skin. Salt the earth, watch it rip, the yourself sinking. Put things in, I can stand, never sleep again. How can you look at yourself? How can you tell yourself from me? Will anyone hear her cry? Leave me up at night. The abuse and the lies. Guess what I'm alive. Will anyone hear her cry? Leave me up at night. The abuse and the lies. Guess what I'm alive. Think it's time for the tables to turn. To just gonna use her. Innocence means nothing. Drag him deep into the abyss. Will
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Uncovering the Underground Radio Show, brought to you by First Angel Media and Brutal Business Entertainment. As always, I am your host, Skippy Ickham, and I do want to thank you for listening in tonight. Whether you're listening live or streaming this after the fact, make sure you click the like, share, and follow buttons on whatever platform you choose to listen to us from. The more that you do that, the more that it keeps you in tune with all new episodes and releases from our show, but also it helps move us up the podcast community rankings, allows more people to discover the show and us to continue to do bigger and better things, continue to bring on great guests like the ones we have on this evening. So make sure you stick around for the full episode. If you are listening out there, as I said, we bring you a show each and every Thursday night, 8 to 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 8 to 9 p.m. is uninterrupted underground music. 9 to 10:30 p.m. is whenever we do bring on artists from all over the world to interview them. Everything from, tonight's death metal band to hip-hop artists, models, authors, athletes, and everything in between. We're always bringing you someone that's great, someone that's very influential, and someone that I think you guys need to discover and check out. So tonight we have Angelic Desolation on the line with us. They are from Colorado. They are a death metal grindcore band. We're going to jump into them in just a moment. I am very impressed by these guys' music. Think they have some big things coming for them here in the near future, so glad to share them along with you. If you're listening out there, you can, as I said, listen to any platform that you like listening to us from, whether it's iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, or any of the others that, are certainly out there. But keep in mind, if you want to interact with us during the show, leave us comments, ask our guests questions, anything like that, you have to do that specifically through the Spreaker app or through Spreaker.com. That is our hosting company, and that is Spreaker. It's a quick sign-in, takes about 10 seconds, and you're right with us on the show. I'll read your questions to the guests, I'll read your comments, and we always enjoy people certainly being a part of that. We do want to thank our sponsors, Tattooed Scumbag Apparel, and that's going to be at www.tattooedscumbag.com. They make everything from hoodies, t-shirts, hats, beanies, sweatpants, socks, you name it, they make it. Ironically enough, or not ironically, I guess, but I'm wearing one of their hoodies right now, constantly wearing their gear. As I say, each and every episode, I'm wearing it out at shows. I'm wearing it when I'm running errands again around the house. I love their gear. It's comfortable. It's made of good, dependable material, and if you're a tattooed scumbag like me, you're going to love it. Use promo code BBE10 for 10% off of your overall order and save yourself some money. Make sure you check them out. Great local Pittsburgh company, and we would appreciate you guys showing them some love. We also want to thank Roush Designs, Legion Artworks, R3 Graphics, and 5 Milligram Artworks for everything that they do. And, obviously, if you're keeping up and want to keep up with everything going on at Brutal Business, just check out www.teambrutalbusiness.com. That'll give you all the updates on our shows and events, models and photography, radio, horror reviews, video games, wrestling, everything that we're involved with at Brutal Business. That'll help keep you in tune with it. So make sure you check that out. And we would really appreciate it. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you a little bit about tonight's guest, and we're going to go ahead and jump into, picking their brains a little bit. As I said, we do have Angelic Desolation from Colorado, and they are a death metal band with a full-scale sonic assault and a sound unique enough to call their own, American Razor Grind. Taking influences from thrash, grindcore, death metal, horror movies, and a love for the power of the riff. Known for their stage theatrics such as baby mutilation and live abortions, their live performances push the envelope of what in your face truly means. Partner that alongside music that's catchy enough to be stuck in your head for weeks, and you have a recipe for a one-of-a-kind act. Satan has bestowed upon them a 5-star rating of blasphemy due to the mayhem that ensues when their unique brand of death metal is performed. And I'll attest to that myself. I came across these guys very randomly. It was actually a Facebook suggested post. It might be something that they had a promotion going on, I'm not sure, but sparked my eye. I checked them out instantly right after clicking play. I'm like, these dudes are fucking amazing. I have to get them on the show. As most all of you know, I'm originally a death metal kid that translated into the rap world over years, but I still am very involved in the death metal scene, and we bring on some great death metal and metal bands. And tonight is no different. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Angelic Desolation. What's up, fellas?
What's going on?
Hi.
Appreciate you guys coming on the show tonight. I look forward to picking your brains a little bit, letting the fans hear your music. As I said, I am a newer fan, but certainly a big fan within the last month or two, and very happy to have you on the show and get to let people, hear what it is you guys do, because I listen to a lot of death metal and have for many, many years, and unfortunately, I don't find a lot of bands these days that off the bat just hit me. As soon as I press play, I'm like, fucking A. You guys were one of them. I really like what you guys are doing. I like that you kind of dubbed your own sound as American Razor Grind because, as your bio says, you are a definite mix of thrash, death metal, and grindcore. I really like what you guys did with it.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, we pretty much just play whatever the fuck sounds good to us. And, I mean, we try to stay the same but different, same formula with doing everything. But, I mean, if everybody digs it, we dig it. Everybody's happy. So, that's pretty much what we do.
It's all you can do, man. You got to keep it true to yourself. That's what I tell everybody is, if you're playing to make a sound that you think is going to be popular, chances are you're making something that isn't. And and you're not really living up to what you want to be doing. You're not making music for you, and it's not going to last very long. But whenever you just stick to your roots and you say, well, we're going to pay whatever the fuck we want, either like it or you don't, whatever, we're having a good time, that's when the best and most raw music comes out. Now, it's definitely what I would call you guys is raw as fuck.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Yeah, definitely. You can't fucking. Everybody starts out with a vision, and if you stray from that, that's when you fuck yourself. At least, I mean, even if you stray off and it becomes so-called popular, if you're not happy with it and you're not fucking feeding your own soul, then it's kind of a fucking waste.
No, I agree. It's definitely a waste of time and a waste of effort, so there's no point in doing it. Stick true to yourself, and you'll enjoy the ride. I think the fans that should be there will come. If you're looking to get everybody, like I said, you're not in the right... First off, you're not in the right type of music, because in death metal or underground hardcore hip-hop, you're not gonna gain everybody's acceptance, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely not trying to get on the radio, so...
I don't think they would allow us on the radio.
No way.
You know what, though? I mean, I played in a death metal band for many years, and I've got some opportunities that were completely bizarre. That actually, I was just talking to my wife earlier. We were reminiscing on a time in our life together, and we laughed because our second date, I guess you could call it our third date, I don't know. My band played at a restaurant called Dingbats, and I don't know if they have a Dingbats over in Colorado or not, but they don't even exist anymore. And
yeah, I never heard of it.
Okay, yeah, it used to be like a popular thing, at least in Pennsylvania or the East Coast, and it's like a full-blown regular restaurant, but not what you would ever think that there would be music at or shows at, let alone death metal. And I remember them reaching out to our band and I'm like, would you like to perform here? You're very popular in the area. We would love to have you. And I was very confused, and I'm like, I think you might have the wrong band.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, you were the guys we were reaching out to. We wanted to have you guys on our show. I'm like, I don't know if it would be appropriate. So they're like, no, we promise you it is. And sure enough, we went and we played this full-fledged restaurant, and we're like doing breakdowns and fucking just going ape shit. And there's people eating there's people eating their dinner, and I'm like, okay, all right, I fucking, I'm gonna go with it, So you sometimes just got to embrace those weird moments.
Yeah, I mean, go with it. Definitely. We've played at a Mexican restaurant once, and we get there and we're setting up equipment, and just straight up people eating Mexican food, Mexican music in the background. They just told us to set up on the stage, and as we're setting up, it slowly turned into a metal bar just out of nowhere.
That's awesome, though. You know what I mean? You never know where you're going to get a good crowd, and that's the thing is when you think you know your crowd, you don't, because sometimes you'll be very surprised. People all the time, because I mean, I'm a death metal kid, but I do a lot with the hip hop world, and I prefer to play with death metal bands and heavy metal bands all the time. So people get surprised when they hear there's a rapper on the show or on the bill, and automatically most metalheads hate rap, so they're like, oh Christ, there's a fucking rapper on. Meanwhile, I'm standing in the crowd and I can hear them talk, and they don't realize it's like I'm him because I'm standing in all death metal black clothes and hanging out and shit. So they're talking shit on this rapper. This dude's probably gonna fucking suck. And then I come out and do my thing, and I've adapted very well to metal bands. And afterwards, I usually get a very good crowd reaction, a lot of new fans from metal kids who hate rap music, because I have a very dark, sinister heavy metal look and sound to my rap. But
yeah.
I prefer to do that. And people say, why would you ever want to go out and rap in front of death metal crowds? I'm like, I love it. I love the task of trying to overcome a crowd that automatically wants me to fail, and to push to my limits. Because if you're playing in front of who you're comfortable with, you're never reaching outside the box. If you're playing in front of a crowd that hates you, you got to reach outside the box and really bring it. So it causes you to be the best you can be.
Oh, definitely. And if you catch somebody, you're really going to catch them at that. We actually, my brother is in was in a hip hop group called High Five in Denver.
Okay.
And they had a CD release show, and it was a Halloween show, and they asked us to open up the show, and all the other groups were, hip hop. And here we opened up the show. I was spitting out blood worms, like I was spitting worms out of my mouth, and just the whole growling and shit, and like we just did our thing. And after our set, we had a bunch of people come up to us being like, that was badass, you guys sound really good. I was like, oh shit, we got some new fans.
That's it, man. That's what it's all about, is getting those unlikely fans. Because I think when you catch those people, they're usually going to be some of your hardcore fans too, because you know what I mean? They're like, wow, like, I get that all the time. People are like, wow, bro, I really got, you got my respect, because I can't believe a rapper was willing to come out here and play with grindcore bands or death metal bands. And I'm like, oh, fuck, I prefer it, bro. I'm like, I would much rather be out here chilling with people I can relate to, because, yes, I'm a rapper, but 99% of the time I can't really dig the crowd or the artists that I'm around. And it's nothing against them. It's just I'm not from the same mind state. I'm a musician that raps, not a rapper that knows music. So it's kind of weird.
Yeah, definitely.
Why don't you tell me a little bit about how you guys got started out as maybe individually as artists, and kind of led, full circle to becoming a group? Did you have many groups before this? Was this a first time thing? I mean, tell me a little bit about each of the three of you right now, because I know not all four of you are there.
I'm gonna say let's go ahead and start with Maxwell's story, with his drumming, and then we'll work to me and Chris.
Okay, absolutely. Well, yeah, Max, why don't you jump in and tell us a little bit about how you got started in the heavy metal scene, or in music in general, and what led you up to meeting with these guys and starting a group?
Yeah. So I started drumming when I was 9, and you're really not listening to anything heavy when you're 9. Everyone's just throwing music in front of you, and you're not really sure what you like. They're throwing jazz at you and Rush, and so it took a little bit of time, but after a while, it's like you just kind of want something heavier, And then I found like Lamb of God and Slipknot, and I remember thinking that was like the only metal that existed for a moment. And then I kind of found more brutal stuff, and I said, "Oh, wow! So Slipknot's not the heaviest band?" Like, I was just so naive, and so I started to find all these death metal bands, and then I used to be in like a 3-man group called Pulmonary Implosion. And instead of doing Dead Babies, we were very like marijuana related. So all the lyrics had to be tied to that. And like, so from there, the guitarist got arrested for doing things he shouldn't be doing. And so I was free. And I come across these guys, and they're like looking for a drummer for like 2 years. They're thinking really crazy at that point. Like, okay, maybe we need a drum machine to just be playing. And so I got hooked up with them, and it's one of those things where you can just tell by the first 30 minutes, just grooving with each other, like, oh, okay, this is going to work. Like, and we were able to really build from there.
Well, I think that's important, is that chemistry, because you said it, you nailed it on the head, is usually if you're trying someone out, not always, but most of the time, if that person is a true fit for you or someone who has massive potential, both sides are going to feel it within the first half an hour. You might like the person you're jamming with and not feel it. That doesn't, mean anything against them. They're a great musician. They're just not the right, piece of the puzzle. But there's times, and I certainly know I felt them, whenever you would try a certain person out, and everyone's just smiling like the Cheshire Cat, looking at each other, and you're like, oh shit, like something major just happened in front of us, and we didn't even know it was about to.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, and I'm there. And before I found them, I remember I was just finding people on Craigslist, and none of them were playing anything heavy at all. And so I started jamming with them, and I remember I busted out some pot, and they're like, what are you doing, man? I was like, oh, I was gonna like smoke before I play, like duh. And no, they were all like offended by that. And so when I found Angelic Desolation, that was one of my first questions, like, hey man, like, so I
Is it
smoke.
cool if I smoke?
Is it cool? And they were just like, what
We
are you
laughed.
talking about?
We laughed. We're like, dude, we all smoke weed. We're about to fucking load a bowl right now.
I was like, okay, I'm among friends now. Okay, I have arrived.
Well, that's the
Oh,
important
yeah.
thing. You have to have that likeness amongst each other. I mean, because normally it would be the opposite. Normally it would be everybody would be smoking, and you'd be the odd man out saying, "Oh man, I don't smoke." Not I smoke, and the rest of the brand be like, "Well, you need to get the fuck out."
Yeah.
You
They
know,
look at me
that's
like I'm throwing
especially over your guys' way. I mean, I'm not trying to be cliche with it being Colorado and everything, but I mean, you guys live in fucking Colorado, so it's not like
Oh,
it's like an unknown thing over there that, oh my god, it's like taboo. It's pretty frequent.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it started out cliche, but it's not at all. I mean, even before it became legal, everybody was smoking weed, man. It was just a matter of time before it became legal.
Oh, absolutely. And that'll be a matter of time before it becomes legal everywhere in the United States. I mean, they're going to fight
Oh,
it for
yeah.
quite a while, but eventually there'll be a tipping point that there's too much money to be made from the sale of hemp, from oils, from the flower itself, from extracts, all the different things that you can make from one individual plant. It's too abundant, and there's too much you can do from one thing, too much, tax that you can put on that not to do it. I mean, they'd make hundreds of billions of dollars to feed their greedy little pockets if they would just pass the laws to do it. So eventually that'll happen.
They should learn that from us. We've seen the money flow in, and we've seen politicians completely change their mind on the subject because they're like, "Oh shit, this makes a lot of money."
And that's what it's about at the end of the day. And we have actually over here seen a lot of articles of Colorado has been the first to do this, and this, and then there's articles that keep popping up that are pushing more for it because of all the schools, the hospitals, the police stations, the roads, all of the things that your state has been able to fix and rebuild.
Oh yeah, I mean our freaking light rail system, man, it goes everywhere now, pretty much. And that boomed after they legalized weed. I mean, we already had one. It was kind of starting up, but as soon as they legalized it, it's like everywhere. And here in about a year, we'll probably start having medical delivery services. And then a year after that, we're going to have recreational delivery services and places for people to go and smoke. So.
Okay, that's interesting, man. I mean, I can definitely see it continuing to grow and a lot more things to be had. I was impressed when I was over your way that like every fucking building and every plaza was new. Like I'm going past all these stores and they look like they're all built within the last 4 or 5 years, and then I'm going past another plaza and it's like another plaza of brand new buildings, then another one and another one, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? It's like Twilight Zone because I live in Pennsylvania. Everything's like 300 fucking years old and decrepit and dying, and I'm coming there and everything's like brand new and nice. I'm like, this is throwing me for a loop.
Oh hell yeah!
Now, Max, you said so that kind of led you up into meeting some guys that were similar to yourself, had some of the same kind of thought patterns, and you kind of branched past the Slipknot and Lamb of God, which I think we were all in that stage if we're all around the same ages. I started out with Slipknot, Lamb of God, Drowning Pool, Disturbed, Linkin Park, and all that, and that was like my heavy shit. I knew there was heavier than that, and I had even listened to a little bit, but I didn't journey down the rabbit hole too far, then started getting into all kinds of fucking crazy shit like Cannibal Corpse and Cattle Decapitation and all kinds of shit back when and over the years. So I mean, there was a lot of bands that started leading me to Napalm Death, Dying Fetus, and just a lot of other bands that I'm like, holy shit, there's a whole different type of heavy that I didn't realize existed.
It's a whole new world when you discover them.
It
Completely
is.
different world.
It really, really is. Now, why don't we, with that being said, we heard certainly Max's journey. Who would like to go next?
Why don't you go? Because you know Matt longer than I do.
All right. Well, this is Chris. I didn't start learning playing the bass guitar until I was 18, actually. My first guitar lesson, ironically, was from Matt, our guitar player. Not that we were linked up for a band at any time, but we both had turned 18, and we were each other's first roommate when we turned 18. and he already had a band going himself and was already good at playing guitar. A really awesome band called Allothrisis. And at the time, they did not have a bass player. So I thought, hey, I could play bass. So I got bass guitar and started taking little lessons from Matt. Well, Matt also joined a second band at that time called Iconocost, and he ended up having a lot going on. And in the meantime, Allothrisis filled the bass player position before I kind of got good enough to play in a band, so to speak. And anyway, within the next year, me and JJ linked up and wanted to start a band. And it took us about a year of going through and a couple guitar players and a drummer to figure it out. But we finally got it going when we were 20 years old, I want to say, 2006.
Yeah, 21.
21, somewhere in there.
Okay. It
And
kind of
then,
came full circle then. So you guys didn't initially hook up as far as a group, but then it kind of came back around again and allowed that to happen.
Well, when the band very first started, Matt wasn't the guitar player to start out. We went through him and briefly one other guy before locking down Matt. The band wasn't too far along at that point, but yeah, Matt came along, I want to say a year and a half, 2 years later.
2 years later, in 2008, that's when Matt joined officially and stuck with us. So me, Matt, and Chris all met when we were like 16 in high school. And actually, so it was Matt, Chris, and Jason that also played in Allothrisis and Iconocost. They were all roommates together. And I would go over to their apartment because they already had an apartment, and go over there and party. And it was just fun as fuck to hang out with them. They were just like crazy dudes. There was a night when they were like breaking VHSs over each other's heads for no damn reason. And we would just drink, do drugs, and hang out. And it was a good time. And one of the nights that I went over, so this time, so brief history about me. I grew up more listening to like hip hop and gangster rap and shit. And at the time that I met these guys, I was really into like ICP and Brother Lynch Hung and Isham and Nadas, and just like, I liked violent rap. Like that was my shit. I loved it. And, but I started getting into like Slayer and Sepultura. And I was, of course, listening to, like we said, Slipknot, Metallica, shit like that. Hanging out at these guys' house one night, they just had a computer that had a playlist, and it played fucking everything. And all of a sudden, I'll never forget it, Decapitated, Nihility started playing. And I told everybody to shut the fuck up and tell me what the hell was coming out of the computer. And they were like, dude, that's death metal. And I went, what metal? Said death metal. And they started burning me CDs, and we just listened to it to the rest of the night. And I completely fell in love with it from that time forward. So fast forward a little bit, me and Chris kind of started a band. Crazy shit happened with an ex-girlfriend. I kind of fell out of it. Came back, and the band had another guitarist and a drummer and Chris, and they asked if I wanted to try again for vocals. Tried out, got the part apparently, and so we were like, all right, so what's this band? And it's Angelic Desolation. And from their end, we've dropped guitarists, we've dropped drummers. Me and Chris have been in the band. Matt's been in there since 2008, which is a pretty long ass fucking time, and just built from there. And then when we found Maxwell, that was it. It was like our freaking like Wonder Twin rings connected, and we had exactly what we needed.
That's it. You guys came together and superpowers were born.
Oh yeah.
You guys have a dope name too. I mean, not only a good look to you guys, great sound to it, as far as your music, but the name itself is definitely, it speaks volumes. It's definitely a death metal name, but it's not just a cliche, cheesy death metal name. I mean, when you say it, it rolls off the tongue, Angelic Desolation, and you're like, I already know these dudes are going to be heavy as fuck. And that's what you want, is you want them to know what you are right off the bat, but also know, like, when I hear that name, I automatically expect you guys to be dope. Like, if I would click a play button and the name of the group was Angelic Desolation and it sucked, I would be heavily pissed.
Awesome. Yeah, I think one of our older guitarists, I don't know if he's listening. His name's Matt. That was Matt Brown came up with that, right? We call him Gerbil. If he's listening, he's gonna get pissed. I just called him Gerbil, but I love the guy to death. But he's one of the guys that came up with the name, and it just rolled. And like I said, when I rejoined and they told me that was the name of the band, I was like, fuck yeah, let's do it.
No,
And
that's dope.
when we first started out, we had a super heavy satanic shit with it because we were kind of branching between black metal and death metal and trying to going for that. And then as the band progressed, man, I was like, you know what? Let's just write about whatever the fuck we want. If I want to write about pterodactyls, we're gonna have a song about pterodactyls. Fuck it. As long as it's brutal, that's our only rule. Like anyone here can write lyrics or suggest a song, but as long as it's brutal, that's all we care about. It can be about anything.
And that's the thing, is you can take something that's not even brutal necessarily off the bat, but you can take it and present it from a perspective to make it brutal.
Yeah,
and that's
definitely.
the cool thing about it, is you can take something that most people would be like, how the fuck would there be a heavy song about this? And then they hear it, if you present it correctly, and it'll blow their mind. So that's what's great about this music. And as I forget which one of you was, I don't know if it was Chris that said it or not, but falling in love with this music, and you hear it, and it's just like, wow. It's because of the technicality behind it. A lot of people hear it and they're like, oh, that's screaming rah 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 bullshit. The thing is, when you listen to death metal and you have a trained ear and you understand music, to look at them playing the guitar and the drums and the bass and the vocals on it and the unity together and the technicality behind the playing, where the fuck else do you get that much raw energy?
No, and that's the thing. Like there's people, I've heard people, they'll show it to them. You already know there's people out there that's not even gonna like it, and they're like, I don't like it, and it's like, well, it's because you're going off what you're hearing and you're not listening. You're not listening to what it is. And like I said, once you start individual notes and like getting the lyrics and just the sound. I mean, the vocals. Death metal is one of those things. Like you have other bands of other genres, and singing is different than the instruments. But to me, death metal, the vocals are almost like an instrument.
Oh, they are.
It just sounds with it. And yeah, maybe you don't understand what the fuck they're saying, but just like listen to what the music is like doing.
No, and I agree. And the thing is, I agree with both statements. The vocals are very much an instrument in death metal. The patterns are able to do the icing on top of the cake to present the perfect package. Now, if you're someone that doesn't like the vocals and that's why you don't want to even give death metal a chance, then learn to look past it. I hate to say that, obviously, Jay, with you being, the vocalist, but look past Jay's vocals. Listen to just the music and say, holy fuck, like, listen to that jamming right there. I always tell people that, because so many people say, right off the bat, I'm not into that screaming shit. Well, okay, don't necessarily listen for the screaming, listen for the musicianship. Now, once you learn to love the music, you can let that vocals come in and be the icing that it needs to be, and maybe you'll fall in love with that too. But you got to look past that initial spot you don't like.
No, exactly. Once you hear the music, like, and then lay the vocals over, it's like it goes with it.
No,
it's
absolutely.
kind of like Mozart or something, right? It's like you just listen to Mozart, you're like your mind is just exploding, listening to all this crazy stuff, and it's like it would kind of blow away what you thought music could be before you heard it, And then Mozart like made an opera. I think he made a few, and it's like you probably first heard that if you really like Mozart and you're like, what's this singing? Like, I don't know about that. And it's like, you kind of like let it grow. But if you have that foundation of the music that's behind it, you're like, okay, I don't get the vocals, but I can get into this music. And then it's kind of like a gateway to you. After a while, you're like, yeah, I kind of like that. I like that kind of vocalist or that kind of growling or whatever. And then you kind of go from there and you're like, I actually like the vocals. I love these kind of vocals. But it's like, as the first thing, it's like the hardest thing for someone to get past, right? Because that's what everyone always brings up.
It is. It's the first thing, and that's why I said you have to almost block it out. If you're going to be someone who's automatically a naysayer to the vocals, then block it out, listen to the rest of it. Maybe you'll learn to like it all together. Most people just, don't understand what's being said. So you read the lyrics and say, holy shit, this stuff's deep. And so it all kinds of come together in a package, but you have to be willing to give it a chance. And too many people are too closed-minded to be open to something new like that. But as someone who's been in a death metal band for many years, or not so much anymore, but had been for many, many years, there's nothing like that energy and feeling of playing with 4 or 5 other guys, 3 other guys, whatever it might be, and being in unison, just absolutely destroying some technical death metal together. And like you were saying, Max, is that find your sound of metal, because you might not like death metal. Maybe you're more of a thrash metal fan. You might not like thrash. Maybe you're more of a metalcore melodic side. Maybe you're more, post-hardcore. There's so many different sounds. And I mean, you'll even change your sounds up over the year. At one point in time, you were saying about black metal on the Satanism side. At one point in time, I loved Dimmu Borgir and Behemoth and bands like that. And it's like over time, that kind of shifted. I don't really like black metal so much anymore. I still respect it for what it is, but I'll always be a death metal kid, and I'll always like some Killswitch Engage and As I Lay Dying. I like the melodicness that I can really jam to. But death metal will always be my go-to. I can hit the play button and just lose myself always, ever since I was a young kid.
Oh yeah. No, I'm a big I'm one of those. I don't want to sound like stereotypical. I listen to everything, but I kind of fucking do. Like I like all kinds of shit, from like traditional Japanese music to like Celtic shit, and I still listen to Slipknot and Metallica, and like I said, I was really big into hip hop, so I still listen to strange music and psychopathic and all that shit. So listen to a lot of shit, but it's like death metal is where my heart is. And that's where it's always going to be. And I mean, if somebody told me you can only listen to one genre for the rest of your life, death metal is my go-to. It wouldn't take me a second to say that, No,
I love it. And I'll tell you what, right there is a great way to drop right into their first of 3 tracks that we're playing tonight, guys. If you've liked the interview so far, make sure you click that share button, like button, and follow button. And check this out. This is Dinosaurs in Minor Chords by Angelic Desolation. We'll be right back on Uncovering the Underground. And we are back on Uncovering the Underground. I'm your host, Skippy Ickham, and that was Dinosaurs in Minor Chords from the band Angelic Desolation from Colorado, an underground death metal grindcore band that we have on the show and have been picking their brains for the last 37 minutes. If you are tuning in right now and missed the beginning of the show, don't fret. At the end of the show, you can always go back and listen from the beginning. Right now, you're only going to be able to listen live as this is a live broadcast. But make sure you check out this entire episode along with all of our past episodes by any of the online sites that you want to go to, Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio. Check out Uncovering the Underground, and you'll certainly find a lot of great hours and great episodes with great underground people. And tonight we have, as I said, Angelic Desolation. That was just an amazing song. Like I said, their stuff is so technical and so fast, so in your face. So they kind of branded their own name, American Razor Grind, and I think that's a good fitting name. Where did you guys come up with that at?
We actually, our friends in Pletysmographia from here in Denver, Colorado, they just called us that at shows one night and kept doing it. So we're like, fuck it, Razor Grind sounds kind of cool. I'm down for that. And shout out to Creepy. I believe he's the one that came up with that.
Okay.
Creepy Chris. So yeah, we just fucking ran with it. We're like, all right, American Razor Grind sounds pretty good. We went with American Razor Grind because our guitarist Matt did a little study, and apparently Razor Grind's already a thing in Europe, and it doesn't sound anything like us. So we're like, all right, American Razor Grind. And yeah, like I said, just fucking ran with it.
This is our spin on it. Yeah, I like that, man. It has a fresh name to it, a fresh feel, and I think it kind of accompanies the name and the feel of the band pretty well. So I definitely dig it. That was Dinosaurs in Minor Chords. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that track?
It was a song that we wanted to do as an instrumental. Matt actually came up with the name for it, forgot that he did, and I reminded him, and he's like, oh yeah, that's cool. And we just we wanted to let the listener kind of like decide what was going on in their head. And then when we went and recorded it, Zach Markle, Matt's brother that was working at KMG Studios here, where we recorded, after listening to it, looked at Matt and was like, you guys have vocals to this, right? And Matt said, no, it's an instrumental. And he was like, be better if there were vocals, because that'd be a badass fucking song. So it was one of those things where I kind of had to like scoot together vocals for it really quick. And like I said, it's Dinosaurs in Minor Chords, and it's really just about dinosaurs in a brutal way, talking about smashing bones and killing and eating flesh and all this. And then end of the song ends with the asteroid killing the rest of them and shit like that. So,
and I think it really worked out that we decided to put lyrics to it, because or else we probably wouldn't have played it very much. It probably would have been just something in the background, but now we play it all the time.
Oh yeah.
That's pretty dope, though. I mean, honestly, it's a great song. It's one of my favorites from you guys. So that's cool to hear the story of how it came together, as far as it originally just being an instrumental piece, because most fans wouldn't know that. I'm glad. I mean, I would have enjoyed it as an instrumental piece personally, but I think a lot more people will enjoy it as a full collaboration than they would an instrumental. I think that would be for the select few.
And that's what Zach Markle was saying. He's like, you guys got to put some fucking vocals to this, because this is really good. So we're 0 for 2 in instrumentals. One of our older albums, we had a song that was supposed to be an instrumental called Monkey Bar Massacre. And during that, our old drummer kind of fucked up in the recording, and it came out shitty. And this was at Firestorm Studios. Shout out to Jeff if he's listening. But Jeff told us, he was like, guys, this kind of sounds like shit. Like, the only way to kind of redeem this at all is to either re-record it, which we didn't have time for, or he was like, you could put vocals over it and cover it that way. So in the middle of recording, I think I had like 24 hours to come up with lyrics and vocals for Monkey Bar Massacre. And Yeah, so that was our first instrumental we were supposed to do. That didn't work out. And then this one, like I said, Zach told us, hey, man, you guys got to fucking put some vocals to this because it just sounds awesome. So
That's the problem, though, is when you write an instrumental, you're usually going to expect and hope for it to be an awesome body of work. But the problem is when it is, a lot of times you're like, well, shit, I want to, we should put this out as a song. So you have to find that fine line of like, when do we like it so much that it's perfect, as far as instrumentally written, but we don't put vocals to it, or do you always kind of cave and put vocals to it? It's a tough thing to pick because it can really go either way. It's hard to do instrumentals.
I think we kind of, when it comes to instrumentals, I'm kind of thinking maybe when we get bigger, maybe we could do the instrumentals, but right now I think we're just kind of like, it's gotta be the same formula, badass hardcore fucking shit and vocals to it. But I mean, maybe we'll get around to an instrumental. We'll see.
Well, the good thing is, like you said, you can play it on stage, and if you want to on a certain show, you just let the band play. You know what I mean? And it just be the instrumental, or come in halfway through and pick up right from halfway through the song, and give them kind of a taste of both. So it can go either way. Full control. Definitely. Now, something I ask every guest that I have on the show, and I'll ask the three of you, if you had the option of choosing one or the other, putting out a song that would set you guys on the map, that you would go down for, you'd be famous for that specific song, it would set you financially and status-wise, because it's just a fucking masterpiece. But the opposite side of that is every other song you guys try to put out to reach that fame, to reach that buzz, never seems to take hold, and you're just constantly writing songs that never can live up to that one? Or do you pick the opposite side and you write track after track that you all feel is personally the best music you've ever heard, but no one seems to give a shit? No matter how much you play it, everybody's like, yeah, it's cool, man. And for some reason, to the four of you, you're mind blown because this is the best shit ever, but no one seems to care.
Damn, that's a good ass question.
Yeah, which I always like to hear people's ideas on this, and which side they would lean to and why. And there's no right or wrong. I hear both sides a lot.
I mean, I would personally lean towards the latter, where you have the song that you like and you can live with, because I always think of that song "Cherry Pie" by Warren, and what was that guy's name? But the guy, the lead guy, who everyone knows from Warren, they like put out an album, or they just finished recording. It was like Uncle Tom's Cabin, and it was done. And they give it to the label, and the label goes, well, where's the hit? Where's the single? And he's like, I don't know. So he went home, and same thing like you, Jay. He had like 24 hours, and he wrote Cherry Pie. He's like, next thing I know, he's like, the label loves it. He's like, the album's Cherry Pie. He's like, the single's Cherry Pie. I'm doing cherry pie eating contest. And then like it's the guy who like wrote it. And this is like, 20 years later or something. He looks in the camera and like stone cold serious. He's like, I could fucking kill myself for writing that song.
That's a lot of bands, man.
Nothing amounted to to what that song was for him. And that wasn't even a good, like, he didn't even think that was that great of a song, but everyone's like, that's your masterpiece.
I have a rebuttal to that. So first of all, the question that was asked was, you just said write an awesome song, but you could never live up to it afterwards, right?
Correct. Yeah, you either you write the greatest song you ever have, and everybody loves you. You're famous. You got money, but every song you write afterwards is a dud. So you're pretty much a one-hit wonder. Or you pick the opposite side and constantly crush it, but no one cares.
So Cherry Pie was a one-hit wonder for shitty fucking reasons. Put this in your mind. What if we wrote? I'm yelling at Max now. What if we wrote a fucking song that every time we played it, it made us cry, and it made everybody else just lose their fucking minds, and it was just so perfect in every fucking way. And then there's no way we could live up to that and write another masterpiece like that. I would love to ride that wave. Maybe we're a one-hit wonder, but what if our one hit meant so much in the music industry that it just brought tears to everyone, including the people playing it. I'd be down for that fucking shit. Hell yeah.
So the whole concert, like when you're doing that, the whole concert's just a build up of kind of
We play a
mediocre
bunch of shitty
shit,
songs.
and
Yeah, and
then
then
everyone's
people
just
are
waiting
dead.
for you to play like your masterpiece, and they're just
Yeah.
like, yeah, man, like
And-
they're playing a 2-hour set. I don't know why, because we're
And-
just here for the last 10 minutes.
And we give it the dumbest name ever, like Retarded Wheelchair Monkey. That's the name of the song, and it's about like a little rhesus monkey that's in a wheelchair and he's constantly falling down. But the it's just such an awesome fucking song that it makes everybody cry. I'm down for that. I like that one. I'm going with that one.
All right, I dig it. I dig it. So we got two different opinions. What is the tiebreaker?
You're the tiebreaker.
I mean, why not both? Why can't we like write a one-hit wonder and crush it constantly? Because that's what we do.
He didn't say crush it. He said like
You
fuck
say
up all
crush
the
it
time.
constantly, but nobody cares.
Nobody cares. Yeah,
Yeah, they would
okay.
only be hits to you guys. So you would constantly be satisfied. You'd finish practice, you'd finish shows, and be like, man, we killed it. We are writing the epitome of
Being
what we
satisfied
wanted to write. But
work.
everybody in the crowd just stares at you like you're retarded.
Yeah. I feel like I've watched bands like that where they're playing and like I'm the audience member for that, and they're loving it, and I'm just like, it's just super mathy metal, and I'm just like, it's just way over my head.
Yeah, they're
That's-
really locked in. You know, they're
I can
living
also
life.
see that being like, I'm so stoked with what we just played. Fuck them. I don't care. Like, that was a good show, you guys. Let's go get pizza.
No,
Right,
yeah,
yeah.
that could be like that though, man. I mean, some people they reach that level that they're like, I don't care if anybody likes this. I mean, I personally myself don't care if people like my music or not, but that's a whole different level.
No, exactly. I mean, you want to please the crowd, but you got to stay true to yourself at the same time. And it's walking that line. It's giving the people what they want and not being disappointed in yourself.
That's key right there. That's
I
the
like-
key words.
Like that.
Yeah. Like, I mean, you can have 1,000 people at your shows losing their fucking mind, spending money on you. But if you're writing some bullshit, and that's where the cherry pie shit comes in. Like, they fucked their entire thing. Maybe Warrant would have never been anything had they not written Cherry Pie. But you know what? Their music was their music, and they loved it, and people loved it. And it was like that medium, but they wrote that fucking song, and that's all anybody remembers them for, dude. And they fucked up with that. I would never want to do that. I would never sell myself out just for like a little bit of fame. Fuck that.
Yeah, but I've never wanted to be famous, so I guess that's part of my problem too.
That's an
Being
important
famous-
thing is if you crave the fame, that can be a downfall because it's like you're so unfocused on you because all you focus on's where you want to be or where you think you want to be that you never actually focus on you.
Exactly.
And it fucks everything up. You have to be focused on what you want to be doing and what's going on around you. And if you get the fame, great. But when you're really hungry for it and going for it, you usually don't get it. It's whenever you're just kind of out there and you're killing it and you enjoy what you're doing and you don't care if you get it, that's when you usually get it.
Exactly.
Just
I
how
mean,
it usually works.
I'm down for the fame, but I want to be famous because of people that like what I'm doing. Like, I call it Cannibal Corpse famous. I would be down to be Cannibal Corpse famous. Like, they're not going to be on Celebrity Squares. I don't even think that's a show anymore. I'm fucking old. But anyways, they're not going to be on anything big like that. But you know what? Fucking, like, if you talk to any other metalhead and you're like, Cannibal Corpse, they're like, yeah, Cannibal Corpse. Like, that's all I want. I want to be famous amongst, I guess, my own people, amongst people that actually appreciate the fucking music. That's where I would want fame. I wouldn't want fame for the sake of fame and just like selling out to fucking what the mainstream fucking radio wants and any of that bullshit.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, you can be very famous in your scene and very known, as you said, like Cannibal Corpse, and not have to be like, hey, look at me, everyone in the world knows me. No, there's enough people in the world that know me, that enjoy what I do. I don't give a fuck about the other ones.
Exactly.
You know, and that's it. Because Cannibal Corpse, even if you've never listened to them, if you're a true avid listener of metal, someone says Cannibal Corpse, you're like, oh yeah, I know of them, even if you never listen.
Exactly.
It'd be
You know,
impossible
yeah,
not to hear
I
about
mean,
that. It's like saying Metallica. If you haven't heard Metallica, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if I want to be quite Metallica famous because they're like getting memes and shit made out of them. But no, I mean,
They're still dope as hell, though, bro. I just seen them again. I've seen them several times, but I seen them again 2 years ago.
they're badass.
And at their age, they are still absolutely phenomenal and killing it. They play for 3 hours every time you see them, and I'm like, what band do you know that goes out there and plays for 3 hours? I just don't see it happening. They still do it.
Dude, we're living in a cool time where a lot of like, and I'll bring up Cannibal Corpse and like Deicide, like a lot of these older bands. We're living in a cool time where we actually get to see how long can those fucking vocals and drum patterns and fucking guitars play. Like, how old does it take for you to break down? And like, so far, none of them are breaking down. They're still fucking killing, dude.
That's awesome, though, man. They're living their dream. They're 70, 80 years old, and they're like, fuck it, we're still gonna play music.
Yeah, we're still jamming out. It's a cool time to be alive to see how old does it take for you to fucking be like, I can't do this anymore. You know, especially with death metal, you know, people kind of think like, especially with like a vocalist, like, oh, you're not gonna be able to do this forever. And you got motherfuckers like Glenn Benton and shit, like still like sounding excellent live. And it's like we get to see in this time like how long can you go playing this type of music. So
what's cool about it is, if you think, you know, we are the generation who got to see the uprising of death metal, and I've gotten to see a lot of the original death metal bands and all the ones that are very, very big at this point now. You can fast forward several generations later, and they'll know about the Cannibal Corpses. They'll know about the Deicides. They'll know about all the bands that no longer exist, but they'll know about them in like legend, like, oh man, you know, back in the day. But we were back in the day. We were here. We're here now.
We were there.
And that's just a dope moment to know that we're living in it. A lot of different things that have come out in our generation that started now. I mean, death metal was around earlier than this, but not at the level it's at now as far as notoriety.
No, I always joke about like that when you see like infomercials for like the I'm gonna say it wrong. I'm sorry if I do, but like the Jerry Lewis Foundation and fucking like you see a lot of these old timers from like the 50s coming out, like the Beach Boys and shit, and they still have their vocals and they still like do somewhat of a stage show even though they're like pushing 80. Like, I always wonder if there's gonna be infomercials where it's like fucking Deicide coming out and they're old as shit, but they're still like being able to do what they did when they were young, you know?
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, buy the box set.
That's great, man. No, I love it. I love it. We need to jump into a second song here, I think, to give these people a little bit more of Angelic Desolation. I think next up on the line, if that's okay with you gentlemen, is I have Bloody Buddy.
Oh, fuck yeah.
All right, guys, you heard it. Uncovering the Underground. This is Bloody Buddy by Angelic Desolation. We'll be right back.
Wanna run and kill the nation.
All right, guys, that was Bloody Buddy by Angelic Desolation. We've been with them for the last hour, interviewing them, asking them a little bit about how they got started, some of their feelings on the scene and how it is to be in the scene, whether you choose a life of fame or a life of loyalty to your craft. We've talked about a lot of great things tonight, so as I said before, if you missed it, make sure you rewind back after the show and check it out. Check all of our past episodes and keep up with everything at brutalbusiness.com at teambrutalbusiness.com. All right, so that song right there is pretty fucking intense. Why don't you tell us that and Dinosaurs in Minor Chords? Are they both off of the same album, same project? What's going on with those?
Yeah. We recorded them on the same for this one. Bloody Buddy's actually been around for a minute. We've recorded that song before with like a live recording. But we decided to throw them on this last album, which is probably what you heard from this last album. You can hear older versions of it that's out there.
They're much slower, though, I think.
Much slower.
So over time, the song kind of progressively got faster?
Yeah, a lot of our songs fucking mutate as we keep going. There's probably songs that we just wrote for Rumpus Time Is Over that maybe in the future we'll add as an extra that will, like, here's the mutated version and it sounds like a fucking monster thing.
You know, what's funny is it's like the longer you listen to you realize the longer you've been together or the faster you are. So I'm listening to you guys. It's a really slow song. I'm like, I don't know, but I hear you guys. You guys have been together a while then off of, you know, the tunes. If it's going by speed, you guys have been together for the ages.
Oh, yeah. It feels like that. We've been together for a minute. Fucking Maxwell's just fast as shit. Matt's getting fast. Like we all try to improve. I mean, that's the whole thing. We don't want to we're not trying to outdo what we used to do, but we want to improve what we can do.
Not trying to be comfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't be. Complacency kills you. I mean, if you're going to stay complacent at where you're at, then you're never going to make it anywhere than at where you're at. I mean, what's the point? It's okay not to want fame, but you have to always at least be the best at what you do.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what we try. We try to make every song, every album more brutal, as fast as we can go without just sounding like a blur, but just better. We want to be better all the fucking time, and we want to be better, like, for ourselves, you know?
Now, with talking about the last two tracks off of your last project, what do you guys have coming up for us that we can expect? Is there an EP, an album? What do we have in the works right now that the fans listening in tonight discovering you guys, or even, you know, longtime fans that are listening in tonight, what can they expect coming up from you guys?
Yeah, so there is an EP in our future, and it's in a 2020 future too, at least when we're going to be recording it. Right now we're just at the very ground stage of figuring out which studio we want to go to, where we want to get it mixed and mastered, how we want to go about that. I mean, there's a variety of options, and so it's like you can go a cheaper option and get a cheaper product, you know. And that was kind of our last EP was like, okay, we don't have money, we have $300 to record an album or record, what was it, like 5 or 6 songs,
Yeah.
and then we record a full-length album, and now we're like, okay, we're going to do an EP, but we're willing to spend more than $300. So it's really just figuring that out. But I mean, all the songs are written. I mean, we're almost starting to write songs that aren't on this album that are on the next one, which is kind of good because that's what we all get antsy after we play the songs too much and they're not on an album. So it pushes us forward to say, okay, we need to be doing something. We need to be recording these. Like, I don't want to get sick of these before it comes out because, as you probably know, when you get in the studio, you play it so many times just before and at the studio that you'll probably become sick of the song. So if you already are before you get there, it's bad news.
Oh, absolutely. You find a firm hatred towards certain songs. I have a song of mine that I enjoy. I still find joy in the song because I wrote it and it was a good time and everything. But it's that one song, like I said earlier, that people always like want me to live up to. They're like, "Oh, play that one song." It's like the Skinner thing, everybody's like, "Play Freebird, play Freebird."
Yeah.
It's like every time I play a show, I got at least a couple assholes in the crowd asking me to play the same song, and it's been that way for years. And it's like I've put out songs that are way better than this song, but for some reason, that has been like the cult favorite of all my fan base. And it's just one of those situations.
We get that with our Shake the Baby song. Shake the Baby is one of our oldest songs. And it's just, I don't know, it's almost like a calling card with us, and we still enjoy playing it, but like our musical talents from when we wrote that song to what we are now is just like, I'm glad you guys dig the shit out of this song, but we have way better stuff to play.
You almost want to forget about it sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, no, we weren't playing it like that. We're playing it like this.
Yeah.
And luckily, that song was written before I came in, and like so many songs, I'm like, all right, well, this needs some more blast beats. This needs more double bass. This needs to be faster.
Oh, Max definitely helped with rewriting drums on so much shit. It just sounds so much better. And I think it's one of those things that helped with us, like I said, mutating songs. It was like, oh, Max thinks it should sound like that. And then Matt would come up with an idea, and Chris would come up with an idea, and fucking I would have to like change vocal patterns around. And it's like, all right, now this song's like upgraded.
You have to leave yourself open to be able to do that upgrade, and that's the problem. Is too many bands won't do that. Is it has to be this way, it has to be that way. If you're trying someone new out and they come and they have ideas, people shoot it down. No, it has to be this way. You got to leave yourself open and let it craft itself into what it's going to become. Because if you stifle it, it's going to be, it's never going to be what it fully could have been. And I'm glad to hear that you guys were open to Max's ideas, which kind of switched your guitar parts, which switched your vocals and bass, and morphed it into a newer sound. Because if you compare yourself when you first started out to now, has there been a very big noticeable, sound difference to you guys?
Oh yeah. Originally, before we got Maxwell, we were just kind of a traditional death metal, like hard and brutal, and fucking that was it. And we got Maxwell, and it was like a fucking army getting some badass machine guns, and we were just able to like realign our assault and fucking change our war plan, dude. Like it's the best way I could describe it.
Okay.
And fucking we just work with him, and I don't know, it just sounds so much better. Like we get fucking like goosebumps and hard-ons and all kinds of shit.
Things are happening behind the scenes. All kinds of feelings are arising.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, that's awesome. Like I said, we got definitely people tuning in tonight, leaving different comments of how they really like the jam, so that's awesome to see.
Nice.
If you are liking their music out there, folks, make sure you search them on all online platforms out there, from Facebook to Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, everything in between. I know I seen their list earlier of all the things that they're on. Search their name, you will find them. Give them a like and a share. They would appreciate it. Buy their merch, buy their music, and show up at a show. All these things keep these guys going. You are the lifeblood of what they do.
Speaking of showing up at a show, we do have a show tomorrow night.
Let's hear about it.
At Three Kings, playing with the Pulse, Logistic Slaughter, Embryonic Devourment, and fucking Internal Bleeding.
It's going to be an intense show.
So y'all motherfuckers want to show up, we'll be there. I will probably be heavily drunk, and it's a good time.
You heard it, folks. If you are out in the region and looking for a good in-your-face show, that is tomorrow night. Stop in, check it out, support these guys, support everybody else, and show some love. So let's see what time we got here. We have enough time to play another song, and then from that, we're going to go over our last couple quick fire round questions that I'd like to throw at you, and then we'll wrap it up for the evening. We have, for the third and final song of the night, Intergalactic Alien Bastard.
Yeah.
We'll be right back, folks, on Uncovering the Underground.
What's he gonna shoot?
And if you didn't know, then now you know. That is Angelic Desolation, Intergalactic Alien Bastard. That was the third song we played from them tonight, accompanied next to Bloody Buddy and Dinosaurs in Minor Chords. All three phenomenal pieces of work. Hopefully you guys and gals enjoyed them. If you did, please, like I said, give them a follow, a like, and a share. Leave us comments or questions for the last little bit that we have here before we close up shop. And I know that we were going to talk a little bit about horror tonight, and we never got a chance to, so I'm going to fire that away with you now. Each of you, if you had to pick your favorite horror movie, what are we picking? And I know that's a broad spectrum, but you have to pick just one. Or I'll tell you what, I'll let you pick two, and the reason why is sometimes people might say, well, I like more of a psychological, but I like some gore from time to time. You get the different sides of it, so you can pick two, your top two favorite horror movies. Jay, you can go first, that's fine. Oh, yeah, it's fucked up, man. It's an odd fucking time to do that, but okay. Well, you know what though? They say that a good horror will do that to you, though. Okay, sounds like you're in, man. He's jumping in hard. Well, make sure. Well, folks, I mean, if you are listening out there, this is a great segue into it. If you heard Jay talking about his love for horror movies, please keep in mind that we do have the Gruesome Gazette. You can search us on Facebook. That is our horror review column where we do have great writers that watch, just a massive amount of horror movies, and they write great reviews on movies weekly. You get about 4 different write-ups and reviews. These are not just quick, like I didn't like the movie or I did like it. They're full detailed write-ups of not spoiling the movie, but telling you their thoughts on it from a more deep, introspective on it, and it's just great to see what my guys are doing on the horror review side. Check that out at the Gruesome Gazette. We give you all things horror. You'll love it. It'll tell you whether you should check out a good new movie or maybe avoid one that you were going to check out that would absolutely be trash. I know what one's opinion is subjective, but if some of these reviews, if you read, you're like, oh wow, I'm going to probably dig this movie, or no, I definitely would have wasted my time. This will save you from having to worry about that. So check it out, Gruesome Gazette.
Oh.
I had to do a shameless plug.
No, it's awesome. Gruesome Gazette. I'm going to check that shit out.
Absolutely. Gruesome Gazette, all kinds of horror reviews, good times for sure. Let me grab here. What time do we have? We have 10:17. We have a little bit left here. So why don't we jump, Max, your horror movie favorites?
Yeah, I was actually I'm like a fan of the Rob Zombie way of life.
Okay.
And when I saw House of a Thousand Corpses, I mean, that was something that just stuck with me in my dreams, like for a long time. Like,
it's a good movie, man.
It's solid, and I mean, I know he gets critiqued on some of his future movies that he made after that, some of the sequels. But I mean, I love that style that he has, and it's kind of crazy to think that like just the crazy way that he even became like a director, right? Because I bet if he would have just started doing that, nobody probably would have gave him the time of day just because it's hard to break through. And since he already kind of had his in music, and people said, "Oh well, we already know you're legit for all this horror stuff already in your music," he got a chance to make that stuff. And I don't know. I feel like who knows where each one of us might be in like 10 years, directing some film for something crazy that somebody loves, like almost more than the music. But yeah, so I would have to say House of a Thousand Corpses for me.
No, I haven't seen the new one yet, though. I know that there's been a third section to it, or the third film released. I haven't seen the third, but I did like that and Devil's Rejects heavily.
Devil's Rejects.
I did go to see the third one. I enjoyed it, but I didn't know that the movie theater I went to had alcohol. So I did go to enjoy it, but I was testing to see how much alcohol they would give me, and I got fucking smashed. They never stopped. They just kept giving me alcohol. And so I enjoyed it, but I was also like fairly fucked up. So I probably should watch it a little more sober than I was.
Give it a fair judgment.
No, dude, I kept coming back and being like, they fucking gave me 2 more beers, dude. These fucking people. I'm like slurring, and they're giving me alcohol.
They're all
And I
laughing,
just-
yeah. Like, he was able to reach for it and hand me money, so
Yeah, he gave me money,
he
so.
could count.
Well, you know what, man? When you're at the movies, though, we went to the movies one time. They didn't have any regular tickets left, and they're like, "Well, we can upgrade you, sir, to the VIP section, and we'll cut the price from normal price because obviously you wanted a regular seat, and they were at capacity. They had a couple seats left open. The film was about to start, so they gave us a deal on these VIP seats for me and my wife." And I didn't know what the fuck a VIP section was in a movie theater. I mean, normally you just go in and it's just the seats. Well, in this movie theater, there was these section of seats above it that were leather that had their own surround sound in the chairs, and they kicked back like recliners, and you literally could have a spot for your food and your drinks. So you're kicked back full force, reclining, watching this movie. And we went to see one of the 50 Shades of Grey movie, and it was hilarious because we're sitting there and you're watching what's as close to a porno as you're ever going to see on like a regular movie theater screen.
Yeah.
And with all these adults, and I'm looking in these leather chairs, we're all reclined back real comfortable. And I'm looking around and we're all watching this porn together, and I'm like, this is one of the weirdest moments of my life.
Did you get like rock hard and wondering if like anyone else was?
I started to get a little bit of a semi. I had to kind of like punch myself in the knee. You know what I mean? I was like, dude, you need to settle down right now. It's not the place,
You're
not
human,
the time.
Yeah, yeah.
That's cool that it has like I don't think I've ever had the surround sound in the
Yeah,
seats.
it was around the
Crazy.
seats. It was crazy. Like things would explode in the movie and scare the shit out of me. Like it was like so fucking loud around me that I felt like I was in it, like I was in the cockpit seat, and I'm like, holy fuck, this is too real.
No, I'm sure they would explode.
This guy got jokes.
We have the reclining seats the theater we went to. I went with a buddy to watch the Godzilla movie, and fucking recliner seats. He passed the fuck out and was only awake for the monster fights. So like at the end of the movie, he was like, "Hey man, it was a really good movie." And I was like, "I bet you fucking thought it was. It was nothing but monster fights for you, dude." Like you passed out for all the human shit and just watched the monster fights.
Hey, I mean, I guess it's whatever you want to see in the film, right? Everybody likes their own things.
Dude, it's fucked up. Like, I kind of want to try that because I was like, I bet that was a really badass movie for you. You just woke up and monsters are fighting for the entire fucking movie.
That's funny though. I didn't get to see the new Godzilla. I seen like one of the originals, all of them, and then I seen the remake that they did in like 2003. But I haven't seen the new one.
Oh, you gotta check out the new ones, dude. They're actually pretty badass. I'm a huge Godzilla fan myself, and I was like really critical of them. And yeah, they did really fucking good for making it like new CGI and shit.
Yeah, I've been meaning to check it out. It just hasn't happened. Time is elusive these days, and it's hard to get to see and watch everything I'd like to.
Oh, I hate it, man. I only go to a few here and there, But yeah, I understand that.
It's been a minute since I went to the theater. I'll have to tell my wife we need to make that happen sometime in the next few weeks. So finishing this out, Chris, your favorite horror movie, sir?
My favorite horror movies are kind of cheesy 90s flicks like the Leprechaun and Child's Play movies.
That's all right.
Just
Though.
reminds
That's a
me
good
of,
time period.
I know, like, I mean, you can't take them too seriously, but anytime you watch those, there's always good laughs, and I don't know, the cheesiness of it just makes it freaking awesome.
Jennifer Aniston in the fucking Leprechaun, like that fresh 18-year-old ass, dude. It's so awesome. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's all right. Now, those were great movies. I liked all the Leprechaun movies. I liked all the original Friday the 13th and Halloween and all those movies. But like Child's Play, one of my other favorites would have been Puppet Master.
Puppet Master was the fucking shit. See, that's why I'm saying that's a fucked up question. You're like, favorite horror movie? And it was like, dude, I love so many of them.
Yeah, I don't get to watch near as much
Master was
anymore.
awesome.
I love horror movies. It's always been a passion of mine. I just don't get a lot of time. But I did start the horror review page so that people could constantly have a one-stop shop about good horror movies. So even though I can't be as involved as I'd like to be, I'm still involved in a way and have people putting out good content. So it's always great to talk horror with people.
Fuck yeah.
We're actually doing a horror con coming up. I'm the host of it here in Pittsburgh. My company's not thrown. It's actually a full-fledged horror company that's bringing a bunch of different stars to Pittsburgh, and we're doing the after-hour party. So after the con's over, they're going to have an after-party with the celebrities and just regular people that want to come to the show, and it's a bunch of my artists on my label performing, and I'm hosting, so that should be a good time, because I'm like, fucking A. Like, whoever thought as a kid I loved horror, I'd be fucking the host of the horror con, you know?
Fuck yeah, that's awesome. Hey, if you guys need a death metal band that eats babies on stage, fucking hit us up.
I can put a word in, man.
Do it up. We'll do whatever.
We'll eat those babies.
We'll eat those babies.
You'll eat them. Shit will get real quick.
Oh yeah.
Feel like, oh shit. No joke.
Well, guys, I want to finish this out with one last question. After that, we are going to see where we can check out your music at, who you guys would like to thank. I will give my announcements, and we'll finish up for the evening. But the last question I've been liking to ask people recently is, if you had to give advice to a new group in the scene that's just starting out, young kids, maybe in high school, trying to jam together, getting discouraged from playing, trying to find people that they mesh well with, all that shit that we've all gone through and been frustrated by, you know, and they're feeling like they don't know if they want to do this. What is your guys' advice to anybody new getting into this scene?
I would say you always got to remember that you're learning, because there's always going to be people better than you, and if you look at them, you're not really going to feel great. You're going to feel shitty, right? But everyone is awkward at those kind of at doing that, and like there's still all these things that I'm not good at. And when I was a kid, I thought, oh wow, well, like Neil Peart, he's great, he's amazing. But then I got older and realized that he doesn't think that about himself. He there's still a million things he wants to get better at, and it's just like this constant thing that you have to keep going at.
No, very well said.
What about you, Chris? What do you think? What kind of advice would you give?
I think you just gotta live through it all. You don't really know what it takes to be in a band and what it takes to show up to constant practices, to build shows, to promote, and do all that until you actually do it all. So I think just living through the experience is just as important as anything else.
It is, because some of the best lessons are learned that way. I mean, just living through it, it might have sucked. It might have been a shitty time, but that shitty time could have very well shaped everything else in your life without you knowing it.
Most definitely.
And one more thing I would just add too is like be cool with promoters. Like don't fuck them over, or they're gonna fuck you over. Like you gotta realize that, you know, it's a team effort, and it's everyone's job to get shit done and to bring people and stuff like that.
Yeah, people don't realize that. They fuck promoters over and they think it's like no big thing, like I'm going to shrug it off. It isn't even so much that you just fucked yourself whenever working with that guy again, but how do you know that guy isn't best friends with two of the other biggest promoters in your entire area? And then he says, hey, let me place a call to them real quick. Hey, never book these fucking guys.
Exactly.
And then guess what? You're blackballed everywhere. Now you're not playing anywhere because you were an asshole one time. So you always got to emanate and bleed, you know, professionalism, and show that you're worth to every show you show up to, every promoter you work with, every marketing agency you work with. You always give it your all and present yourself to a certain level, because then people will take you more serious and you get further with it. Because when you fuck one over, you never know who their friends are.
You don't know how big that motherfucker's gonna get.
True too. Yeah, they might end up blowing up and be the biggest thing you could fucking imagine,
and
like
you're
the number
oh,
one
I
promotion
told
company.
That guy to eat my dick, and now I'm fucked. Yeah.
And that's true too.
I guess my advice, telling them is, like I said, one, be true to your fucking self. Do what you love. If you don't love it anymore, then fucking give it up and do something that you do. Because if your heart's not in it, it's not going to be. Even if you come up with quote unquote good music, it's not going to be great because you're not enjoying it. And I would say, don't give a fuck what anybody else thinks or says, man. If you fucking, if you like what you're doing, the band likes what you're doing, fucking keep at it, dude. Keep doing it. And I guess, especially if you're going to be like a death metal band, don't expect any money. It's just not coming. Keep your day job, or at least keep it like a side hustle. Like eventually, you probably make money, but you're probably going to lose more money than what you're going to make. But if you love what you're doing, you're happy, and it's a release. Especially if it's a release. If you're doing this shit because you're fucking angry, if you're a kid starting in a band and you're just fucking angry and you need to get that aggression out, and you're getting it out through lyrics or guitar or drums, fucking do it, dude. And just make yourself happier than you would be without the music. And love the music. And like I said, respect the promoters and fucking join a community. We have a crazy community with the other bands in town. Like, we have fucking ride or die homie friends that I would never have made if I wasn't in a band. And just fucking enjoy yourself, go get that shit, and don't give a fuck what anybody says. Be my advice. Yeah. But that's from a vocalist.
You heard it, guys. That is the advice from Angelic Desolation. I think there's some good key points made there, absolutely. We do want to thank them, obviously, for coming on the show tonight, kicking it with us, sharing a little bit about who they are as a band and individually as people. Why don't you tell us, guys, lastly, where we can check out all your stuff at, who you would like to thank real quick, and then I'm going to give the closing statement.
Yeah, so where you can check us out, we're always super active on Facebook and Instagram, and Matt has even told me that we have a TikTok account, which apparently is amazing. But I don't think we're dancing on that. And then our Bandcamp is where you can go listen to the music, and then we're on all the streaming sites: Apple Music, Spotify, Napster, Rhapsody. I don't know, all the big ones for sure. Who do we want to thank, Jay?
I'd like to first and foremost thank God for being an inspiration to piss me the fuck off. And I also thank you for not existing, because if you did, you'd be a son of a bitch and an asshole. I guess also Satan for being there, giving us the talents that we have. And
inside of each one.
You know what? I'd like to thank Matt. Matt works really fucking hard for this band. I don't think he gets enough appreciation. We try to give him hand jobs from time to time, but he's usually not in the mood. But other than that, I think that's all. I'd like to thank the guys in my band. I'd like to thank you for having us on your fucking podcast. It was fucking awesome. All the fans out there. Starting to sound like a fucking Academy Awards. Gonna play me off music coming up pretty soon. And porn and horror movies, man. That's what made this band.
Let's be honest.
That's it. That's how we're gonna close it out right there, is porn and horror movies, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here. If you missed any of the episode, tune back, listen from the beginning, share it around, check out all of our past episodes. Thank you again to our sponsors. Make sure you're listening in tomorrow night, which is January 23rd at 8 p.m., where we go live for an hour of uninterrupted underground music, and from 9 to 10:30 again, we have another interview, this time with the rap duo Isolated Beings. Those are the homies. They're going to, give a great interview, great time tonight. So you have two good episodes, 2 days back to back, and then next Thursday you can catch the Mantra of Morta, which is a great metal band from Indiana, Pennsylvania, Indiana State. I can't talk right now, guys. I don't know where the fuck my mind's going.
Can I do one more plug?
What's that?
Can I do one more plug? because Matt will kick me in the dick if I don't. It's for our show tomorrow night at Three Kings.
Absolutely. Make sure you check out the show. Go ahead and give it a plug.
Yeah, Matt, don't kick me in the dick.
That's it. And then, like I said, guys, tomorrow night, Isolated Beings, 8 p.m., 9 p.m. starts the interview. Next week, 8 and 9 starts the interview with Mantra of Morta on the 30th. Check that out. We appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. Share it around. And Angelic Desolation, thank you guys so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, man. This is fucking fun as shit.
Thanks.
See ya.